This episode is brought to you by Accenture. When your advertising operations fall out of sync, everything else follows. Spotify and Accenture are working together to reinvent the rhythm of ad sales, using automation, analytics, and smarter workflows to simplify campaign delivery and access better data across the business. The result? Less time spent on operations, more time connecting brands with the moments and fandoms that matter most. Learn more at accenture.com/Spotify.
This is going to be an extremely busy month. I have to watch 104 soccer games, follow the pregame, the postgame, yell useless opinions at the TV. It's a lot. So I knew that when it comes to screening for colon cancer, the choice was clear. The Cologuard Plus test. It can be used at home and can only take 15 minutes, so I can do it during halftime and not miss any action. If you are 45 or older and at average risk, ask your healthcare provider about screening for colon cancer with the Cologuard test. You can also request a prescription at Cologuard.com.
Lez Hang Out. And let's talk about what Lez is about. And let's listen to two lesbians shout. Lez Hang Out.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Lez Hang Out, the podcast where I don't even think you could guess, Ellie, the rabbit hole I went down of songs about healthy relationships. But I think you should know this is what I landed on. The podcast where you've already won me over.
Oh, nice.
In spite of me.
It is funny that Alanis is the one to talk about healthy relationships in the, the beginning.
What do you want? For she can do it all.
I love it.
Don't be alarmed if
I do love
fall.
Head Over Feet.
I mean, it's a great song.
It's
a good one.
It hits. Mm-hmm.
It hits. From the West Coast, I'm Lee Holmes Foster.
From the East Coast, I'm Ellie Brigida. To those of you who've been with us the whole journey, thank you as always for listening. If you're a new listener, welcome. We're excited to have you here. Here's what's happening this week. This week in the Lesdom. This week in the Lesdom is a place where we can touch base each episode about things going on with the podcast or otherwise. In season 9, we are continuing to release our Patreon bonus episodes. You can get those at bit.ly/lespatreon. This week is the end of Pride Month. We only have one more episode of Lez Hang Out season 9. So if you want to help us make season 10, joining our Patreon is the best way to help us do that. We super appreciate all of you. In the greater Lez universe, I Kissed a Girl season 2 is out, and I have already started binge watching it. I don't know if any of you are watching. I would love to know your thoughts, but it is my favorite queer reality show, maybe of all time. I don't know. Ultimatum's up there, but I Kissed a Girl is very fun. So if you're all watching, I'm watching with you, seeing who's going to be coupled up. I'm loving the Elise drama. It's quite something. That's what's happening this week. Back to you, Ellie and Lee.
Thanks, Ellie and Lee. We are so excited to bring you episode 22, closing in on the end of season 9. It's Couple Trouble. And we are joined by some very special guests today. We have Anna Empey, a business development consultant and LGBTQ plus coach with 14 plus years of experience. We have Anne-Marie Zanzal, a course creator and community builder who helps other midlife women find their way in the queer community. And they are here to talk about their course, Healthy Lesbian Relationships, to help lesbian couples reconnect, repair, and rebuild emotional safety together. I feel like I really want to just read the copy for all of your ads.
Yeah, honestly, you sold that so hard.
That's because you're going to edit out me tripping over the words and no one's going to know.
Yes, it will sound beautiful. There'll be a little jingle underneath. Like, don't worry, we got it all. Well, Anne-Marie and Anna, thank you so much for hanging out with us today. We are very excited that you're here. It's actually funny. One of our more recent episodes, Leah and I talked about like dating fails. So I feel like this is actually a nice,
Yeah. Now we'll do the opposite.
Now we'll talk about how do you repair relationships. Would love to hear about the two of you, sort of like how you connected with each other and then decided to create this course for healthy lesbian relationships.
So back in 2020, I was working with women coming out later in life. And like most entrepreneurs, I designed my first website and it sucked. And so I was like, I've got to find somebody that knows how to design websites. So I went on a Facebook group called Freelancing Females and said, hey, I'm looking for a website designer. I need somebody who's queer because all my content is for queer lesbians and stuff like that. And everybody said, you need to contact Anna Empey. You need to contact Anna Empey. And I did. And Anna has been part of my business life now for 6 years, and she has helped it grow tremendously. So that's how we met. We're not married to each other. we each are married to our respective wives. I'm married to Tanda, and Anna is married to Caitlin. So we just started out as like, she helped me, and like Anna was so good because like I'm a new entrepreneur. I'd never done this before. And she was asking me questions like, what are your values? What do you, and I'm like, what the why are you asking me all these questions? I haven't thought
of all of any of these things.
I just want you to design a website for me. Well, she ended up helping me really become very clear about who I am and what I do, and then design the website after that. And now we are on our second design. We just finished it up in April of this year. So that's how we met.
Yeah, and over the years, we started just getting to know each other. And, growing, it's a journey, right? To find people who understand what you're going through. And then there's so many ups and downs you have to navigate. So we started to become good friends and just really committed to, what are we creating and what's possible out there. And then through the work that Anne-Marie was doing, we ended up meeting Dr. Robin Cezanne. And she came into a program where we really tried to get her to launch this course that Anne-Marie and I ended up producing for her off the ground, but she couldn't do it by herself and did not want to do it by herself. So, we had some conversations and we're like, hey, we think you can help. We think we can help you. And we think that this is really valuable to the community because counseling I went through to try to make me straight didn't work great. So if some of you go to a therapist to try to help you with your couple's relationship, if they're just using that framework, it's definitely not very helpful.
And so Robin, she came out later in life. She came out in her 40s. She was already a psychologist, already working with couples. And so she really began to realize, like, because also too, a lot of times when you come from the straight world as like a fully practicing adult, like, you're in your 40s and 50s, you have a lens, which is really interesting. So Robin really noticed the lesbian couples struggling. And so she's been out now for 25 years and she's 70 now and been with her partner, what we call in the later in life community, her catalyst. They've been together since she came out and they're married now and everything like that. And so Robin really wanted to help the community. And Anna and I, who, we've had our own ups and downs in our respective marriages, we knew that a lot of lesbian couples really struggle in relationships. And there's a lot of really good reasons why they do. It's not all your fault, everybody. It's not. There's a lot of pressure on lesbians couples. So we were like, Robin, you have this beautiful course. And Robin's like, I'm tired. And we joke now because Robin is painting full time now.
She sells her art at farmers market. It's what she really wants to do,
But she's still a practicing psychologist, and she's not in the course world. She's not in the online world. That's just not her world. And so Anna and I were like, she was so fabulous at a retreat we did together. We were like, okay, we're going to figure out how to bring this course to the world.
It really is Robin's legacy because she's majority of her work has been lesbian couples for, at least the last 2 decades. So, so much of her focus has been on that. So she brings a depth and an understanding. And I was just grateful that she was willing to help us bring her legacy, because things, when I started hearing about the course, I was like, well, I've never heard someone put it that way or help me see it in that light. Wow, I could actually use that. And things might be able to get a little bit better, a little bit faster, because we're not in some other kind of dynamic. It's actually acknowledging the challenges that me and my wife are actually facing and navigating together.
I'm curious. I mean, you said a lot of really good stuff there, but when you talk about, and I think I can understand it, I would say I'm not personally a late in life lesbian. I felt late in life coming out at 21. But I'm not late in life lesbian. However, I do understand this, there's so much compulsory heterosexuality steeped in our entire culture. So that for me as a young queer woman trying to figure that out was difficult. I can't imagine like you said, having so many more years of living that and be like, that's the relationship, your dynamic you're so used to. What are the challenges that come from that you feel like were addressed, that you're like, oh, this like really clicked something for me?
Well, I think one of the things that Robin mentions in the course, and she actually, because she's had this experience of being a later in life lesbian who partnered with someone who's been out forever. Like my wife has been out since 1985. She's been out forever. And by the way, Anna's not a late in life lesbian, just to let you guys know. She was a right on time lesbian.
Well, it was 26.
We're all right on
and-
time. There's no wrong time.
Yeah,
Okay,
definitely right on
thank
time.
you, Lee. I like you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was 26 and I had to, deconstruct my religion. I'm still deconstructing it 10 years later. I'll probably still be deconstructing it 20 years later.
Well, and one of the things that you asked about, like, what are the dynamics with that? So one partner comes out at 23 and the other comes out at 52. A lot of times the people that have come out earlier, like, I'm just going to use my experience with my wife. She had a language, she had a family, a chosen family already. She understood the culture very well. I used to joke she gave me the crash course in being a lesbian and I'm not talking about sex, although that was helpful. What I'm talking about is that she's somebody, Anna can tell you, Tanda is probably has the least internalized homophobia of anybody. She is just really, really comfortable in her skin. And so when my internalized homophobia would come up when we were dating, like, something I would say, like, for example, I was working as a hospice chaplain at the time. And I had this realization that I was going to be a lesbian my whole life when I was working with this woman who was an elderly Christian woman. And I used to sing with people and stuff like that. And I thought to myself, oh my God, what would she do if she knew I was a lesbian, right? And so Tanda at the time was staying with me, and I went home and told Tanda this story, and she goes, Anne Marie, you get to be a lesbian minister for the rest of your life. How cool is that? And so, like, when you have somebody like that in your corner, she just shifted my thinking. Sometimes when people are too late in life lesbians, sometimes they're bringing all their internalized homophobia and stuff like that into their relationship. But I was very lucky to be with someone that didn't bring that in. And I was really, really grieving a lot. I was leaving behind a life. At the time, I didn't realize how much I was leaving behind, but I was leaving behind a life that I had carefully crafted and cultivated. And so Dr. Robin, when she's in this course, she talks about how sometimes for people who've been out in the community for a long time, all of a sudden start dating people who are new. Some of the hard things is like watching them grieve the life that they had, and also trying to be understanding and calm and nice. But my wife eventually learned that it had nothing to do with her, my grief, but I also wasn't the one. She wasn't the one I could talk about everything. So a lot of times late in life lesbians are very used to talking to their female friends about everything. So, you're dating a woman, you're very used to talking about everything to them, but she doesn't need to know every single detail. She's your lover. She's your lover, and she's your best friend too, but she's your lover and your friend, but she doesn't need to know every detail. And a lot of times people who are coming out later in life, they have to learn that. And that was something I had to learn. And Tanda had to learn to set up boundaries and say, hey, I can't talk to you about that. This is too painful for me. So that was like, we had to learn that together.
That's interesting. You talk about boundaries. I feel like that's just like a universal lesbian experience of, like you said, there is this like my partner's
not having them, or what?
Yeah,
what
not
do you
having
mean?
them. Yeah, not having
Yeah,
them.
okay.
Well, or learning how to have
Or
them,
learning
right?
how to
Yeah,
have
sure.
them. Yeah. Learning how to have them because you're like, you want to live in each other's skin.
Mm-hmm.
And then you're like, okay, I'm saying this. I just got married a month ago.
Mm-hmm.
I love to always bring it up.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
That's exciting.
Very exciting. And I do feel like I will say there are some boundaries between us, but very few boundaries between us. So I'm like, am I speaking? We can work on some things, but it is interesting and difficult. It's like, it is your best friend. Like every single second of the day, you want to be telling this person your thoughts, your feelings. And like you said, when are some of those thoughts and feelings something you should talk to a therapist about, or talk to a trusted friend about, or like find another person to bring those feelings to? Not in a way, because I wonder too. I don't want it to be. I feel like there's a thing let me like process my thought here. I feel like there's a thing in heterosexual relationships where it's like you don't tell your partner something because you're like hiding your wants and needs. It's like not that, but there are some things, like you said, that might be hurtful to your partner that you need to process separately and bring to your partner in a way that's healthy.
I would agree. And sometimes that's really hard to do, right? Because who do you do that with? And sometimes we don't even see the cycle. And you know what I mean? Because we all get in these cycles. And this is what this course helps with so much, is that we all get in these cycles with relating to our partners. And there's actually ways you can actually fix it and not go down that road over and over again. Because actually a lot of times, Robin says this too, a lot of times every fight we have is the same. A lot of times it's the same fight that we're having over and over again.
Yeah, and also in the female to female dynamic, in the women loving women relationship, and that's inclusive of anyone who identifies as a woman with a woman, right? Just to be very transparent, we kind of have this idea that we should be good at this because we're both nurturing or caring or more in tune with our emotions. But
we're both fighting with our journals out.
Yeah, it's fine. And
how could we be bad at this?
I love it. And this is exactly how I feel with the list. I love that. And it's funny because like we're trying to make each other happy, but then because we're not being clear about our needs, then it just can create that implosion, and then it feels like it's happening from the inside out. And it's not like, what Anne Marie was saying and what Dr. Robin has said as an example. It's not really about the cup in the or the dirty dishes in the sink. It's not really about like whose turn it is to take out the trash. It's about something else that's way deeper and about our needs and how to navigate that. And my wife calls that person or people that I go to my les bros, because I have friends who are also lesbians, but they're my bros. They're who I actually go to. And it's not someone that I'm romantically connected with. And having that term has helped people and help us all feel more secure in our relationships, because of like, hey, we're not creating some kind of friendship outside of this. We're all trying to navigate this shit together, whether that's good shit or hard shit or nasty shit. It's all there, right?
I love this too because Ellie, you mentioned that we just did an episode on like dating fails. We also just did an episode where we talked about a lot of like statistics around lesbian marriage and lesbian relationships, where we talked a lot on that episode about the fact that we were like, that's the self-proclaimed experts in topics we are not experts about. I love that now we actually have some experts in, yeah. And so we can like really dive into, because there was a lot of stuff that we brought up on that episode that I feel like we're like getting into a lot of the same meat of now, with like some of the things that make lesbian relationships different and make them, sort of stand out. And I love that there's like an intentional focus on the things that are going to come up and the things that come up for so many couples that are sort of specific to being in a queer relationship, like in a lesbian relationship. I think it's great. I'm so excited that we get to dive into all of it, because we did a lot of fake diving, and now we can like really.
Well, I guess a question for you is, the statistic we're talking about, which is like lesbian couples divorce more than. So what are your thoughts on that statistic?
So
wow, coming straight out the gate.
Here we go.
So okay, lesbians do get divorced more than other people. But the reason is that 70 to 90%, depending on who you ask, all divorces are initiated by women. even in straight marriages. So I tell my clients 80% of all of divorces are initiated by women, 90% if they're college educated. So I think women don't put up with, they get to a point and then they say, I am not going to put up with this anymore because it is not working. So yes, lesbians do get divorced more, but that's because women initiate divorces more. And I don't know if it has any commentary on lesbian relationships, or it also may have to do with, I was thinking about, I told Anna this, I have read that they also do that statistic based on if a woman has been married before. So a lot of women that are married to other women have been married to men before and have gotten divorced. So that statistic gets a little messed up. So Anna and I were talking about this as we prepared for the show, and I got to find that art. I couldn't find it.
Yeah, it's okay. It's okay. But yes, we talked about that as well, and I think that it's clearly like similar to your experience in terms of you are later in life lesbian, so you have been divorced. So if they're going to use your statistic,
right,
even if you are still in a lesbian marriage.
Yes, but also remember, you got two women, not just one woman that can initiate a divorce. There's two women, so the chances of the divorce happening can be higher, and this is not a relationship problem. That is when people walk away when something's hollow. And that the story is not that lesbians can't do love. I think it's that lesbians refuse to settle. Mm-hmm. And they're not going to settle in a relation. Not all lesbians, because we all know lesbians that are in long-term relationships where they barely speak to each other. But, a lot of women are not going to settle for something that's not satisfying. And I think lesbians are those type of women. They're like, I'm not going to do this.
Yeah, we just have standards. That's all.
That's it.
Sorry about us, straight women. All the straight women listening, sorry to you.
Are they straight?
We just want to.
Yeah, I know. I love. And to bring it all back, I like this. Maybe I'm not straight guide. So, how did you come up with this criteria? Like, how do you
maybe
know
I'm not straight?
Yeah, how do you know if you're not straight?
Oh, go on my website. There's a million things. But this is the thing, is that we say maybe I'm not straight because women really struggle using any of the terms. So and also too, when people are newly out, whether they're 18 or 88, they go through every letter of the alphabet. The alphabet mafia trying to decide what they are. So I made it easy. And I said, maybe I'm not straight, because I have women that are bi, women that are lesbian, women that are pan that follow me, and women that hate the labels and don't want to claim any label. So maybe I'm not straight is a nice, safe place to start. And most people, when I say that to them, they're like, okay, I can do that.
Well, in the work that we were doing too, I'm actually I studied anthropology at Brigham Young University, the most liberal arts degree at the most Mormon school. I'll take it. They didn't teach about sexuality. They scratch the surface there for obvious reasons. They were very afraid that everyone would be queer. Oh wait, everybody still is a little queer. But what I was trained in that is to look for patterns inside of feedback and conversation. So I started asking Amory questions like, well, what are the themes that you're hearing in these stories and the women that you're coaching? And then we started looking, what were the themes in our own life? Like, legitimately, if you're straight, you're not thinking about what it would be to kiss your best friend. You're not up at night stressed about what that experience would be like. And that's kind of something that we springboarded off of so that we could have a little bit more clarity, because, it's been confusing. No one's really claiming or owning what's this experience we haven't put a lot of words to. And I love that Anne-Marie and I've worked together, and Anne-Marie's put a lot of words to it. And then, being able to pull that experience, into this course too, because no matter if you've been together for a little bit, or you're later in life, or you've been together for a long time, or maybe you're just, coming out and getting into this world, this course has the nuts and bolts to help support you wherever that is on your journey. There's not really any bucket. It's just, are you a woman who loves a woman? Which I think is a really unique way to understand and start to discover what does it look like to build a relationship inside of a sexuality when you're like, I'm not sure if I'm straight.
I love that. I'm going to use that as an opportunity to say, let's take a quick break, hear from some sponsors. Let's come back and dive into more about what you kind of do in the course and what kinds of things you're excited to tell people about.
The ultimate cookout starts with the ultimate ingredients. At Whole Foods Market, no antibiotics ever burgers and kebabs are prepped and ready to throw on the grill. Fire up a juicy ribeye. Grab creamy potato salad and savory flatbreads from the prepared foods department and round it all out with 365 brand condiments, chips, and dips at everyday low prices. Whole Foods Market. Make your summer sizzle.
Need a laptop that's built to perform and designed to last all day? Select Windows 11 PCs starting at $499.99 are now at Best Buy. Learn more at bestbuy.com. Best Buy. Imagine that.
Goodbye, Kyle.
Did the sound of those words call to you like Pavlov's dog? Then you might enjoy our podcast, Turtle Time.
Every week, you can join me, Riley Hamilton, and my co-host, Amy Scarlatta, as we cover the most pressing Bravo news and dig into the new episodes to answer important questions like, who the hell is Adrian Malouf in this world?
Listen to Turtle Time on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. New episodes every Wednesday and Friday.
I'm Ann Foster, and I have never watched the show Spartacus, Blood, and Sand.
And I'm Gina Berry, and I've watched this show numerous times.
On our new podcast, Nefer-TV, we discuss TV shows and movies set in ancient history. This season, we are discussing Spartacus, Blood, and Sand.
Follow Nefer-TV, that's Nefer TV, wherever you get your podcasts.
Anna, tell me a little bit about when you do the course, what are some of the things? What does this do? How do you do this?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it's actually pretty simple. You sign up, and then you're going to get an email with instructions on how to go and join the recordings. And then we also have a community. So I believe that there are 12 lessons, and there might even be a bonus lesson in there. You know, we create things and they're like, oh, we need to add a little bit more because, you know, why not? Right. So you can watch those on demand at any time that you want. There's going to be handouts and worksheets that go alongside that with that course. And then inside the community, there's other couples who have taken that course. Anne-Marie and I are both in there. And right now there's a little bit of engagement. I wouldn't say a ton, but we are curious about what you're learning and how you're implementing the things and really wanting to make it easy for you to access that. And the cool thing is that you have access for forever. So if we decide to add more to it or create more alongside that, you're going to be able to have access to that and be able to implement some things that you learn.
And I want to mention, too, that for Robin, originally this was going to be like a group coaching program. And one of the things Robin is very passionate about is that a lot of times lesbian couples can be isolated, especially if you're a new lesbian couple and you're both just coming out. We tend to really isolate and not build community. And so Robin was really wanted this course to be within a community. So it's in Authentically Us, which is a community that's on Mighty Networks that we have. And so that is a space within our Mighty Networks community, which is, as I said, called Authentically Us. And so she really believes that it's really important for lesbian couples to make friends, to have friends within the community, to do things with other lesbian couples, because sometimes queer couples can be just quite isolated, and especially if they're in rural areas. Both of you live in places where there's lots of lesbians around, so that's really nice. So you can find other couples like yourself. But when I live in Nashville. Nashville's a blue dot in a red state. There's lots of lesbians here, but sometimes Anna does not. Anna lives in Eastern Washington, so finding community for her is a lot harder than it is for people that live in more queer spaces. So Robin really wanted to make sure that community component was a part of it, because she believes that it's really important for couples to have friends that look like them, that have to deal with the same things that they have to deal with, that have to deal with their internalized homophobia, with all the stuff that comes with being a queer couple. Or, for example, Robin also often talks about, what's the word of my life?
Navigating minority stress. Right?
Yeah, thank you.
How to face and deal with that confrontation and that conflict. It takes more than just your spouse. And if it's, I would say the town I live in is purple, right? And I never know who the person in front of me I'm talking to, how welcoming they are or how accepting they are. And so finding people that we both feel safe with can be challenging sometimes. So, but how do we navigate that? And then when stuff hits the fan, if we only have each other to try to process that, sometimes we accidentally will take it out on each other. Not intentionally. We're each other's safest people. So of course we turn to that. But we have better tools and way better phrasing and ways to navigate and identify, oh, that's what's happening. That's not either of us that's creating that. Okay. Then it now becomes me and Caitlin against the challenge that we're facing, instead of me and Caitlin just fighting each other about shit we can't control.
Well, and also picking on back what Anna says. So Anna's wife is much more femme than Anna is. So how Anna experiences the world is very different than how Caitlin experiences the world when she goes out. My wife is masculine and center. She gets called sir sometimes. And my kids are like, why don't they look 6 inches below her chin? But she does get called sir sometimes, because they're just sarcastic little ones. And I have become, the longer I've been out, the less femme I'm slowly moving that way. But in the way my wife has experienced the world has been very different. And then layer on the piece of, I had straight privilege for 52 years. I was married to a man. I was the mother of 4 kids. I was a minister. I mean, I had so much privilege. It was crazy. And so I am very aware of the loss of privilege I have as a queer woman living with a queer woman in the South. But my wife, who has lived this her whole life, doesn't see it, because that's her normal. And so those are a couple of things that lesbian couples and gay couples face. If you're what Robin insists, this is for all gay people. And so another thing too, like if you're a gay man and your husband is more effeminate than you, how your husband experiences the world is very different than how you experience the world. That's a lot of stress. Like, think about that, how much stress that is. And if your wife is really masculine of center, like the things she has to put up with that you don't have to. I know Anna has told me incredible stories that she's had to put up with when you went to Texas and stuff like that. Like that lesbians that are more femme looking just don't have to deal with, unless they're out with their partner.
Yes.
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 Absolutely.
We know. Yeah. I'm like, I know that for sure from I feel like it's like I flag to other people that I'm gay, and I'm so gay in so many other ways. But if I went out by myself, no one would assume that I was a lesbian.
Right.
Until I'm talking about my life.
But people would assume, but I think people would assume Lee's a lesbian.
Oh, for sure.
No, sometimes they just assume I'm a 13-year-old boy.
Facts.
There's just a lot of
there's
young
only
teenage
2
boy
options.
privilege that I have.
That's hysterical.
It really works, it's good.
It works for you.
It works for me. But for sure. I mean, it is different. But I do have to laugh, because even what you're saying with where you live and stuff, Ellie's heard me say this 100 times lately, but I'm like, sure, I might live in San Francisco Bay Area, queer capital of the country. But also sometimes you have kids and then your whole life becomes a heterosexual couple surrounding you on all sides. And even though we love some of them dearly, you know, sometimes it is just we're like, any dykes with kids out there? Any lesbians in our area with children that want to hang out too? Because like our social network dominated by our children's lives has become very, very het lately.
Well, I think that's every parent, right? When you have kids,
Oh, gosh, yeah.
your life revolves around them. And a lot of times your friendships are based on who your children are friends with.
100%.
And then they turn 18 and then you're like, I don't know if I want to be friends with these people.
And it's like so many of the people out here having children are straight. It does make it make sense, you know? I don't get it. How do they even do that? How do those people make babies? Someone draw me a diagram is what I'm saying, okay? I don't understand.
But unfortunately, I think that's the norm for queer couples that have children. You're in the middle of compat world. And
it's so much. It's so much.
And it must get hard sometime.
It is and it isn't. I mean, the thing that's funny is like, some of the things that you're saying where you're like, there are unique things to like being in a lesbian relationship, especially over like long term, you know, where it's like it is. You're navigating all the stuff that kind of comes up that builds up over time. Children, I mean, having children in a general sense is like an adventure and an experience for any couple, no matter how long you've been together, because nobody's operating at their best, you know? But then at the same time, so it's like there are things sometimes where you're like, yeah, it is hard when it's like you feel like we can talk to a lot of our friends that are like in straight relationships about stuff, but you kind of feel like sometimes you're like, but you don't quite get. It's like it's different than your relationship, and you know, and it's not. So I know I hear you, you're hearing me, but it's not. We're still a little like, you know, not meeting in the same place. But then on the other hand, sometimes it's like there's something incredibly strengthening to our relationship about constantly having straight couples in our faces, because you're just like, I mean, but we could be that, you know? So like, hey, hey, at the end of the day, you're pretty great and I love you a lot. And at least you're not a man. So, you know, it does help. The contrast, I think, really does help sometimes.
Well, and it reminds me just like, you know, I have a bunch of friends from college, a bunch I don't talk to, and then I have a few that I still talk to, and one of them has a bunch of kids, and love her so much that she has so many children. And then as she talks about this, you know, I just see how much she has lost her identity, but I see it in so many of my straight friends. They just lose their identity. And what I see is different in the women-loving women relationships. We actually want to hold each other and help each other have our identity and not lose it quite as much. And even my lesbian friends and my queer friends who have kids, they are also like, no, we're not going to just toss the towel away in who we are in our identity. And I see that that's actually I'm going to say something bold here, but I do really feel it strongly. It's something really powerful for the next generation to have parents that are that committed, that it's not about the kids parenting the parents. It's about the parents parenting the kids and helping the kids have an identity. And there's a bunch of psychology stuff, and Robin says it way better in the course, so I'm not going to dig into it, but she talks about attachment styles and how we build connections and how we build safety and trust. And I think that that's really beautiful that you want to provide that for your kids. And I think the best joke ever is, at least we aren't a man.
I mean, listen. Sometimes it's just nice to be reminded of what you have, you know?
Mm-hmm. Maybe we should.
It does help.
Well, as somebody who was married to a man for a very long time.
And with children.
With children.
God bless.
I'm going to say that being married to a woman is the best thing I ever did. Because now, again, this is what the later in life community brings to the queer community, because we can tell you what it was like on the other side of it. You know what? I might go out of this. I'm in my office. I might go out, and this is so petty, but like my kitchen might be cleaned up. When I was married to my ex, that would never in a million years happen. But also, it's much more deeper than that. So a lot of times, people who come out later in life tend to be married to emotionally unavailable men. It goes across the board. And there's a reason. And I really thought about it for a long time. And I think it's because when we get married to these men, we're often not available to ourselves, because there's a piece of ourselves we are not acknowledging. I have people, like, I've been interviewed a ton of times and they call it a lie. And I'm like, no, it's not a lie. It's much more complicated than that. It's compet. It's conditioning we've faced as a woman. It is our how we were raised as women. It's brain stuff. It's like a cognitive dissonance, like seeing that, oh, you get these messages that you're not straight, but then you keep on going, nope, I'm straight, I'm straight, I'm straight. But, you're in love with every friend you ever have, And also, too, compulsory heterosexuality has a huge part of this. So I forgot where I was going with this. You're going to have to edit this out, Ellie.
You were just talking about
okay.
how much you love being married to a woman.
Okay,
really.
so that's it.
And
Yeah.
Ellie,
Yes.
I was going to ask, what you're like a whole month in, what's your review? How's being married to a woman?
It's the best.
Yeah.
I love it.
Tell us all your thoughts. What's the experience?
It's just amazing. Well, I feel like also just being with Bailey specifically it's like what you said. It's like similarly, I'm like not exactly the same, but sort of the same. I'm like, I woke up this morning, there were dishes in the sink. I went out like a few hours later, they were not there. I'm like, what? Surprise. But besides that.
But that's so minor, but it's
so minor.
not.
Besides, I think it's about the emotional availability, though, is really that, like, I feel seen. I feel emotionally held in like the positive times. There's been some really difficult times in the past year, and it just feels like all of those emotions I can have them. I don't feel as though I'm like too much. I can have all these feelings, and those feelings are like validated and supported.
You said that beautifully. And that's how, like, when I was married to my husband, I went into chaplaincy because I knew he would never, ever move with me so that I could have a church. My wife supports me in everything I do and everything I want to do. So a lot of times, like when I was married to a man, I had to tamp down who I was and what I wanted to serve the needs of him and serve the needs of the family. In this relationship, I do not have to do that. I can be fully expressed as who I am, and she accepts me for that, and she loves me for that. And like also, like, according to couples theory, like Harville Hendrix or the Gottmans, we end up partnering with the person with the person that is most like the parent we least identify with. Okay. So everybody does that. Lesbian couples do it. Gay couples do it. Straight couples do it. We all do that. But what heals us is when you partners with somebody that like that, and they're able to work on that with you. And so when you meet somebody that can meet your needs in a way that that unavailable parent didn't, and they're able to work on it, and they're able to stand in the hard stuff, because my relation, I've been with her 10 years. It's been up and down. We've had wonderful times. We've had hard times. But when you're with a woman that can meet you where you are, and that's when the healing happens. That's when the healing of those old childhood wounds happen. And that's supported by very good psychological research. And one of the best things I love about the Gottmans, his wife has focused really on queer couples. So they have a lot of good stuff with that. So that's why, like, I would never be with a man again. Like, why? What's the point?
Yes.
I mean, I like men. I have 2 sons, but like, I would never partner with one again.
Mm-hmm. I think that's valid. I'm curious. I was just thinking about, like, things you talk about in the course, challenges that maybe we've talked about in terms of relationships in the past and stuff like that. I feel like one of the challenges that comes up a lot for queer couples is the concept of lesbian bed death. Do you talk about that at all in this course, or do you have thoughts on that particular topic?
I don't think Robin addresses that specifically in the course, but I want to say again, that's like, what's the word I want to use? Pathologizing things that lesbian experiences because of homophobia. Because so many straight couples have bed death. So many straight couples U-Haul too, but we don't pathologize them because they're not women. That's the thing. Yes, lesbians do have bed death, but so do straight couples. And yeah, like people have bed death, you know?
Yeah, exactly. I think the part that Dr. Robin does address inside the course is she really gets to the root of what creates a lack of safety. And for women loving women relationships, that tends to lead to more bed death. Right? Like, if I don't feel safe to tell you how I feel in this really heightened experience, how am I going to feel safe to now be intimate with you? And then there's, all sorts of challenges she talks about too. Like if and I don't know if she addresses this specifically, but as I'm looking at it, if you've got a couple or one of them is dealing with body dysmorphia and the other one is like, I'm a badass and I'm really confident in my body, how do you have that emotionally vulnerable conversation without some kind of safety and an ability to recognize that what someone is feeling doesn't always mean it's the other person's fault? So she gives you lots of skills on how to navigate that, how to have do-over conversations when there's misunderstandings. And I feel like she gets to the depth of what causes it a lot more. And she does talk about how it can impact your intimacy. And because, quite frankly, sure, I know there's lesbians who'll just hop into bed with someone right away. But I also know that in being with Caitlin for 15 years, it's never been the same. Every time is unique and beautiful. And also it's about how are we emotionally feeling in that moment. And that matters more than the physicality of it, right? In my experiences, other people might disagree with me that it's just about the sex, but I think it's about way more than that.
It can be about, yes. But then again, it can also be about both too, right? Sometimes it's just about the sex, and those are in the relationships that, that are new and exciting and also like the one night stands. But with our partners it's about intimacy. And Anna's exactly right. It's about safety, because we need to feel safe with our partners to be able to open up. And if we're continuously fighting with them about something, then it's really hard to feel safe in the bedroom. Therefore, we don't have sex, and therefore that part of our relationships die. So when we work on communication, when we work on strengthening our relationships, then our ability to have intimate relationships with our partner increases.
So I think you heard it here first, lesbians. The guide to fixing lesbian bed death is more journaling. We're going to work through those feelings.
More journaling, topless. No.
I think Dr. Robin would approve of this.
Ellie and I are starting a new course. It's called Naked Lesbian Journaling to Fix Your Sex Life.
I love it.
Website coming soon. Anna, we got to hit you up.
Yeah.
Great. I would love to help you with this.
Anna's like, what are your values? We're like,
getting naked, writing down our feelings, and finding a way to share them with, actual words.
And also like a nicely curated colored pen palette. I mean, these are just like important things to have,
yes.
Yeah.
But I do also, to bring it back, I do love what you were saying, Anne-Marie, which I don't think that we have super talked about with the lesbian bed death, about the pathologizing, like putting it in those words. I was like, this is giving me a good light bulb of like, and we've said that. I think in our lesbian bed death episode, we were like, couples have bed death because you're in a long-term relationship. It's a thing that happens. But the use of like people pathologizing because it's women, I'm like, class, of course.
But also too, lesbians, what do? We talk.
Yeah.
And then we talk some more. So we talk about lesbian bed death.
Yeah.
We may not use those words, but we talk about it. I'm going to tell you, in the straight world, people
don't talk about it
unless they have really, really good friends or something like that. But like people don't talk about it. It's just sort of assumed, that like when people get older, so many older couples don't sleep together anymore. They sleep in separate rooms. I mean, you may have family members that do that, and so I think that, instead of saying that there's anything wrong with it's just like, again, you're right. It's pathologizing it. And it's just such bullshit. It really is. It's just bullshit.
It's also interesting that you're saying that, because now that we're on the topic, it's like, it's so interesting that I feel like part of the reason that we assume like, oh, it's gonna be more prevalent in lesbian relationships is like, oh, well, because men just always they be out there having sex all the time. All they want to do is do it, right? And it's like, that's 100% not true. I mean, there are plenty of straight couples that are not out there fucking every day.
No.
Like it's the first month of their relationship. But the other thing that I think is interesting is that we're going to pathologize gay women for being like, hey, maybe the frequency with which you hook up over the course of your relationship might change. But if you happen to be a woman in a relationship with a man who like does constantly want to be having sex, whether or not you're that into it, but you keep doing it, that's not pathologized at all.
Sounds like we're deconstructing the patriarchy.
Yeah. and honestly, it's making me feel real icky all of a sudden right now. I'm like, ew, I don't like it.
Well, I'm going to say that from a lot of the women I work with, what I find really interesting is that so a lot of times when people are coming out later in life, one of the things they do is they open their marriage, or they try to practice polyamory, but yes. Anyway, but one of the things that I have found interesting, that a lot of times wives will tell their husbands, I'm never going to sleep with you again. And the husband's okay with it. It's not like there's the husbands that are not okay with it, but so many of the women I work with, they say to their husband, I don't want to have a sexual or intimate relationship with you anymore. And he goes, okay. And it's like, to me, that would be a non-negotiable. I need to have a sexual and intimate relationship with my partner. Mm-hmm. And so it makes me go, why are you guys staying together? Because the patriarchy says that, you stay and you're married no matter what. And then the second thing with that is, let me see, I think I just forgot it. If I get it, I'll tell you. I'll come back to it.
I'm curious with this. When they say, I'm not going to sleep with you anymore, they're open their relationships and he can sleep with other people, or he's like, it's okay. You sleep with women, never sleep with me. I'm cool. That's the scenario you're talking about?
Yeah. And there's patriarchy in that, right? Because they open up, I've had a lot of polyamory experts on my podcast, and they call it the one dick rule. It's like, yeah, you can go and sleep with women, but you can only sleep with me as a man. Mm-hmm. And this is the thing. It is inherently misogynistic when you tell your wife to go out and sleep with a woman, because that's no big deal. Mm-hmm. But if you sleep with a man, then that is a big deal. And dude, if your wife is not straight and she goes sleeps with a woman, she ain't coming back.
No, I was just gonna say
she's
it's a way bigger deal.
But also, listen, I want to make sure it's clear. You heard it here first, lesbians. Straps don't count, so it's fine. Just go get it.
Straps don't count up. In the one dick rule. Is that what you're saying?
That is crazy.
Well, and also too, I remember what I was going to say before. So many of the women, not a lot, they all fall into different categories, but a lot of women, they have husbands with high sex drives, and like they talk about cataloging their shoes while they're having sex, because they can see into the closet. And, it causes a lot. So they fall into two camps. The ones that husbands want to have sex all the time, and the ones that the husband doesn't care. And so like for a lot of them, for years, they've been giving up themselves because it's what they're supposed to do.
Yeah.
And a lot of
Not
times,
pathologized though. That's totally fine. That's normal.
Right.
That's just normal, like casual behavior.
well, yeah, and they're supposed to do it.
It's wild.
And but also too, they're not enjoying it. They don't like it, and their husbands often get angry with them when they say, I have a headache. They don't want to do it tonight. So a lot of times women will have sex with their husbands to keep the peace. And then there's women that enjoy sex with men but are still lesbians. It's there's a whole spectrum. There's not like just a one size fit all for people. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So people think that's another question I get, but I enjoy sex with men. Can I still be a lesbian? And it's like, well, it's not just about the sex, honey. It's about who meets your emotional, physical, intellectual, and spiritual needs. It's sex is.
I like when someone touches the parts of my body that are designed to feel pleasurable. Yeah, well.
Well,
okay.
My ex-husband's uncle was gay, and he used to say, well, friction is friction.
Yep.
Yep.
That's so funny. That's so funny.
What I think is so interesting about this whole conversation, right? Because, people ask me and Caitlin all the time, how have you guys made it so long? Like, and you still are really in love with each other. Like, even my straight friends are like, I'm jealous. You're like real couple goals. And I'm like, well, we work on it all the time. Also, we both operate that like foreplay stops the second we're done. And we both know we need a lot of foreplay to warm up. We don't really both have a light switch. And so what does that mean? Well, foreplay is not just like, hey, I want to have sex with you. It is, like Anne Marie and Ellie said, cleaning up after the dishes when you're not paying attention. It's being emotionally available. And Caitlin and I have really had to learn like how to have this balance and like this understanding, and also really create that transparency with each other that, yeah, we want this. And also it's 3 a.m. and we just worked a 60-hour week. It's not going to happen tonight. And we still love each other and we still show up, and you get into a flow, and then also spice up the routine. Try something different. And if you hate it, you don't do it again. Also, you just say, nope, that goes on the never again list. And to me, it was,
in your journal.
Lee is coding pens. And with the special, what color pen would that be, Lee?
It's a red pen. It's obviously red. That's easy.
Yeah. And then you can get your rainbow gel pen for all the things that you loved trying that you would try again. And also, like,
I want everyone to know my notebooks in college looked fantastic, okay?
We're not surprised by that.
My notes were beautiful.
Color-coded everything. If anyone wasn't sure then, they should have known by looking at your notebook, right?
It's so true. You could tell, you could read a therapist could do a whole piece on me with just my college notes,
I love that too. I'm like, sorry to I'm going to circle back to what we were saying, Anna, just about relationships. I do feel like I'm in a very new relationship, so like I know I'm riding the honeymoon phase, but I feel like what's important about riding that honeymoon phase is like intimacy is not like, I think what you're trying to say is like intimacy is not just sex, right? It's like every time we're together, we are being intimate with each other in some way. Like I don't want to be in a space where my wife is also there and like we are not connecting with each other in some way. Even if we're talking to other people, like we're holding hands, like we're together. We're showing each other that like we see each other, like we feel considered. And I think that leads to the safety you're talking about. And then the intimacy of like, okay, yeah, like, and the similar thing of like, we're tired. It's okay if one day today is not a day where we like are going to go crazy, but like we still had intimacy today.
Yeah. Cause making out could be intimacy.
So if you are in a relationship and you're ignoring your partner, you are maybe like they ask nicely for you to do something and then you continuously not do it. Or you know what she likes and you choose not to do it. That all of those things start building and building and building. And then bed death happens. And that happens for straight couples, gay couples, lesbian couples. When we don't take care of our partners, as much as we can, It's a practice, right? Think of all of this as a practice, because there are going to be times where you fuck up. There's going to be times where your partner messes up and you're really pissed off at them. I mean, yes, it's a practice. What is really important is that you see each other, just like you said. I love listening to you, Ellie, because you can tell you're in the honeymoon phase, and it's really sweet. And I just love it. It just warms my heart. You can tell you're like in that ooey gooey lovey stage.
It's great.
But the thing
is, I'm going to keep riding it.
Yeah. But the thing is that we have to pay attention to our partners. We have to nurture the relationship all the time. And one of the things that Robin talks about is like the do-over conversation. Anna, do you want to talk about that a little bit, and the do-over conversation?
Yeah, I can talk about that. Yeah, I also think too, what you're talking about, Ellie, is that presence, right? You can tell when someone's on their phone, they're not really emotionally available or present with you. And building intimacy does require presence. And Dr. Robin goes into that a lot. One of the tools, the do-over conversation that Anne-Marie was just talking about, one of the things that I like about it is it teaches you how to give each other grace when you're in really, really big feelings, fiery feelings. If you're my family, you should stop listening. Or if I'm going to tell you the story, don't take it personal that I'm sharing it. Warning for my family. Caitlin and I don't really have a lot of arguments, but my family is still very much Mormon and still very much in that. And they have said some pretty not great things to us. Like, we can tolerate you guys. We love that you never show affection in front of each other when you're around us. And this one time I was just so upset. And I was so upset about what was happening. And Caitlin took it like it was her fault that she wasn't showing me affection in front of my family. Like, no, that's not what's happening. And then it just turned into one of those spiraling conversations where you get to the end where you're like, I don't know why the hell we're arguing. What are we arguing about? And
you're
then,
5 arguments deep. Yeah.
Yeah. And then you're like blowing up, and like I'm walking on a walk because I just can't handle it, or I'm sitting in the car and driving away. And when I get really angry, I drive away because I just don't want to hurt anyone with my anger. Right. And Caitlin just is like, no, we got to talk through this. We got to talk through this. We got to talk through this. You got to tell me everything right this second. And I'm like, I am telling you, and you're not hearing what I'm saying. It is about my family and what they are expecting of us. And then we're just operating based on their expectations and not what you and I actually need. And she couldn't hear that. Right. So there's one time where literally we separated for like 5 hours. We had just gotten like drinks at a coffee shop. We both threw our drinks on the ground, and we've literally had to separate. And then I came back and I said, and we were kind of texting, and I said, well, do you want to do this conversation over? And she's like, well, I don't know how we can do that over because we can't really start at the beginning. And I said, well, maybe we could try with some how we personally feel about the situation so we can come to the middle, again, like being on that same page to recognize that what's happening outside of us is causing this tension. And then we can come up with some ideas on how to support each other and how to feel better. And what's interesting is after that conversation, we did start showing more affection to each other in front of my family. It's still subtle. It's not awkward. We're definitely not, like making out on their couch, but we come over. She comes and puts her hand on my shoulder. She asks, hey, how are you doing? Are you doing okay? And she has a little bit more presence, and we kiss each other on the cheek in front of them. We probably don't kiss very much in front of them that way. Definitely don't do that. No, I'm kidding. Please do that. Make your family uncomfortable. We had to find a
And
way
if you need us to make your
do it.
family uncomfortable, you can hire Ellie and I. We will come make out with our wives in front of your family.
I love it. We could just have a
Yes,
little
my family is always telling me
this is actually, we're going to
they're
start
not
this.
homophobic, and they're like, you guys are just gross. Like, we're
going to
just
do
don't
it
want
like
anyone to do
lesbian
this.
mission style. We're going
Yeah.
to go door to door, knock on the door. And then when they answer it, you just start making out. It's great.
You'll have little black ties and white shirts on and black pants.
But first, you have to say, we have a message for you from the Church of Lesbianism.
Yes. Yeah. Do you have a moment for our Lord and Savior? My tongue down her throat.
I'm like the church of we could do something here. Lesbian dyke sisters.
Yeah.
I was like,
LDS.
Yeah, I was like, we can do something here.
I like that.
Lesbian dykes scissoring. We got this, Ellie.
Yes.
Let's go. Take it on the road.
That's good.
Careful. They are in a lawsuit phase where they are suing everyone and anyone.
Okay, don't sue us. Don't sue us. Don't
Come
sue
at
us.
us.
But
please do it.
Yeah. But to go back to what you said, I do feel like it's nice that you can do a do-over.
Well, Tanda and I have found that like when we get heightened, we have to take a break from each other. So one of us does. One of us will do, it depends on the fight. Usually couple hours. Sometimes it's a half an hour. Sometimes it's 5 hours. We just need to take a break, which really helps. But also being able to do a do-over conversation with your partner, you have to be able to admit that you may have some fault in this argument. And first, if you're somebody who likes to be right all the time, it's really hard to be able to stand there and be open and be willing to say, okay, I have had a role in this argument. Like with my wife and I, she's a Capricorn, so she's never wrong. Never, ever wrong. And so it took us a while. It took a while for us to get to a place where we knew each other well enough. We understood each other well enough. We understood how we argued well enough for her to feel safe enough to say, yeah, I messed up there. It's hard for her to do. It's hard for me to do too. I'm an 8 on the Enneagram. It's hard for me to say I'm wrong. So we used to butt heads around that a lot. And so we had to learn to be like, okay, yeah, I possibly could have done something wrong here. Maybe possibly I could have. Yeah.
And it's hard to,
and it's also really important not to do this when you're heightened. Like you may have to wait a couple of days, because when you're heightened, you just can't do it. Mm-hmm. So you have to wait. You have to either take that time away from each other. Maybe one of the things that Tanda and I do is are you in a space where you can hear me right now? Because that's what I like. If there's something I want to talk about that maybe happened a week ago or 2 weeks ago that I've kept on my little list of things I need to talk to her about, we use that language. And sometimes I can say yes, and sometimes I can say no. And then when your partner says, no, I can't talk to you about that right now, not to get upset and angry. And just say, okay, I'd like to come back to this at some point. Because a lot of times when our partner says, no, I don't want to talk about it, then we take it personally. And sometimes it's not personal. It's just they can't talk about it right now. So learning all those things is really important with good communication with your partner.
Yeah. I feel like you also talk about attachment styles, right? Does that have a lot to do with attachment styles? How easy it is for you to continue or not continue a conversation?
Yeah, Robin really dives deep into attachment styles, and neither Anna and I are experts in attachment styles. I mean, I can name them, but I can't give you all. But but Robin really goes into that, and she has you fill out an attachment style form, because once you realize how your partner communicates, then it's easier to communicate with them. So just because you communicate one way doesn't mean that your partner is going to be able to communicate the same way as you. Like Tanda's anxious and I'm an avoider. So that, and anxious and avoidance always pair up together, across the board.
Correct.
Yes.
Humans. We're
humans. Yes.
But I feel like it is also I feel like it is an understanding of that too, right? Because if you can understand that, I'm my wife is avoidant, and so she will say to me, I'm having this reaction right now, here's why, I'm gonna shut down for a minute. I still love you, I'm still here for you, but in this moment, this is what I need, and it is on me to regulate my own emotions.
Right.
And be okay, I'm going to self-soothe myself in this moment. Give you space. But if you can't self-soothe, then it's just no, talk to me. That's not helpful.
Right. And what I appreciate about your wife is that she's able to name that and let you know. And then we're going back to boundaries. She set a really clear boundary with you. And then it's up to you to respect it. And sometimes as an anxious person, no, we need it solved right now. No, we have to figure this out right now.
Yes.
And so like learning to be able to self-soothe that's challenging, you know?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But I bet you can get those tips and more.
I know. Good shit, Lee.
In healthy lesbian relationships, where you can take all your color-coded notes on all of the relationship tips. Did I do it, Ellie?
That was a great. You really wrapped it all up. Mm-hmm.
You're welcome.
Love it. All right, are we ready for our Q and gay?
Q and gay.
Here we go. Question number 1. How did you meet your partner for all your creative and business ventures? A, website design. B, acapella festival. C, fandom. Or D, we're exes.
I covered all the queer options, I think, right?
That's good.
It's honestly website design.
There you go.
Yep.
I love it.
That's
I
good.
actually didn't meet Amory in person until this last fall, or
Yes.
actually
Wow.
last February. So we had been collaborating online for like 4 or 5 years before we ever met in person. So
Nice.
she's definitely not my ex.
Well, Ellie and I
Yeah, we
met
have-
on an acapella festival, so there you go.
Did you really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so cute.
So
And
a match made in heaven.
We also very rarely see each other in person, so we're
No,
very,
yeah,
very,
almost
very
never.
similar. Yeah, maybe like once every 2
Okay.
years.
Question 2. Have you ever tried couples therapy or a couples course? A, yes. B, no. Or C, not yet.
I've done couples therapy with my wife and my ex-husband. Anna, have you?
Love it.
I absolutely have done couples therapy. I did a lot of therapy that hurt me, and then I did the therapy that healed me from a therapy that hurt me. And then inside of that process, Caitlin also participated inside of that, and she did a lot of her own therapy as well. So we have spent a lot of time working on ourselves and our relationship, and we still learned a ton from this course that we helped produce, which is pretty cool.
Question number 3. How do you identify A, early in life lesbian, B, midlife lesbian, C, later in life lesbian, or D, right on time lesbian?
I'm a right on time lesbian.
Nice.
We're going to start making those shirts. I think those will sell.
I like those. You should make those shirts because that would really, I think that would work.
Yes.
What
Yeah.
about you, Anna?
Yeah, I'm definitely right on time, right? Like I thought I was going to be married to a straight man and that would be my life. And it's my favorite thing is to wake up and there's a beautiful woman next to me every morning.
I know. I still
Right.
can't believe I wake up at now. Okay, so one of the most wonderful thing, I am still wondrous that I wake up to a naked woman next to me every day.
It's
It is the best.
It's the best thing.
I just am like, how lucky am I? You know,
Truly.
I did it. I still, even 10 years later, I'm still so delighted that
God's blessings are showered upon the lesbians. Okay,
Yes.
listen.
it's just the best.
It's the best. I love it.
Okay, question for you two: where are you at with boundaries? A, I can maintain them. B, I'm working on them. Or C, bounder, I barely even know her.
What were they?
Can maintain them, working on them, never heard of them.
I think it's a work in progress. Boundaries are always a work, and it depends on who you're talking about, too.
Mm-hmm.
You know, family members, kids, my wife, you know, all those things. It's a work in progress for me.
Yeah, I would say it really depends. You know, talking to my family, they haven't heard of them, and they're learning really hard for me right now what that means, and I'm always working on them. With Caitlin, I feel like we have pretty good boundaries because she's my other business partner, my main business. She's my business partner.
She's her actual business partner.
She's my actual full-blown business partner. We work in our house, and we have pretty strict boundaries for that so that we can do that. And then I would say personally, we're still figuring that out a lot because things change a lot, and we are navigating a lot of stress all the time. So it's just learning how to navigate that and re-navigate that, and then trusting each other that it's okay if we change our mind. If we need something different, at a different time, and then how do we support each other through that? And that goes back to the whole conversation we just had.
Well, and personally, it's been so delightful to watch Anna and Caitlin come into their queerness and own it, because they both come from very conservative religious traditions. They were closeted when they met each other. And I mean, this was before I knew them, but and then they came to Provincetown last year with us. Because I used to do something, I don't do it anymore, called Wing Woman Weekend. And Anna came and presented, and Caitlin came. It was the first time I met Caitlin. And just watching them blossom and be in that environment, and think about, I have seen them become more and more gay and more comfortable with their queerness and their power as a couple. And that has been from when I met Anna to where she is now is amazing. So watching that and you've seen me, I was still you've seen me grow, and you've seen my relationship with my wife grow over the years too. So that's been that's really been one of the most wonderful parts of working with Anna and Caitlin, watching them they're so in love with each other, and watching them become so comfortable being a lesbian couple together, which when I first met them, they weren't as comfortable as they are now.
Our favorite game to play is who can tell the person in front of us that they're our wife first, Caitlin or me. We can just say the other one is our wife first.
Yeah.
Just to make them uncomfortable.
Or just,
Love
we
it.
really like
just
to
because
know.
you like to know. Yeah, you're this is my wife. You better know it's my wife.
Do you guys, Tanda and I get asked all the time how we're related.
People think she's my sister or my cousin someone even.
Why do they ask that to us all the time? Why? They don't ask straight couples that.
No.
Are you brother and sister?
Well, people thought my brother was my boyfriend in high school, and I'm like, we look exactly the same with the same face.
A lot of couples look exactly the same, though.
Well, my wife and I can look, but you know what I love? My wife's answer to them is, God, I hope not. And then she makes them so uncomfortable they wander away.
That's too funny. Yeah, I'm my wife is Japanese and part white, so there's a part of her
you look so much alike.
No, but there's a part of her that we might be related, not really. But the other night she was like, "What if we were related?" I'm like, "We're not fucking related." Of course, we're not related.
We can check on Ancestry.
Yeah, if we want to test it, we can test it. We're not related. Amazing. All right, question number 5. What is the best part of being in a lesbian relationship? A, emotional availability. B, surprise cleaning. C, not a man. Or D, the sex.
E, all of the above.
Secret answer. Secret write-in answer.
Mm-hmm.
We love it.
Amazing.
All of the above.
Remember, listeners, you can give us your own answers to this episode's Q&A questions on our Instagram at Lez Hang Out Pod. Anne-Marie and Anna, thank you so much for hanging out with us. I could talk to you for hours.
This was fun. Thank you.
Take notes, Ellie.
So fun.
Yeah. Let our listeners know, where can they find both of you on all the things. Where can they find healthy lesbian relationships?
So
the course, not just where can they find
where can you find the elusive healthy
what
lesbian
aisle of the grocery store are those in?
Anna, go ahead.
You can find the course at healthylesbianrelationships.com. You can get all the details, you can register, and you can get started right away. It's right there for you. And we'd love to have you and see you in the community. You can also connect with me straight up on Instagram, which is at Anna Empey. If you want to learn more about the other things that I do as well, you can go to annaempey.com.
And for me, I'm AnneMarieZanzal.com, my full name, and everything. LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook. It's Anne-Marie Zanzal. So that's how they can find us. And we've included the downloads. So we have the infamous Maybe I'm Not Straight download mentioned by Ellie. And we also have another download for you, which is Healthy Lesbian. It's a Healthy Lesbian Relationships download, which you can either, if you guys put the link in, they can get it here. Or if they go to the healthylesbianrelationships.com, it's a pop-up, so they can get a download if they want to get it. And that's free. All that stuff's free.
We will have all of that in the show notes, so you can click on that and probably on our socials as well. Amazing. Thank you so much for hanging out with us. This was so fun.
Thank you.
It was great. I just want to talk to you guys way longer.
Yes.
We love hearing from you and building community, so we want to shout out some of our favorite things each episode. And today, we'd like to shout out an email from a listener, Jaden, who said they've been binging the pod for the past few weeks, and their record is 12 episodes in a day. That is insane. Thank you so much for listening. This is so fun. But the main reason they reached out is to share that Buzz Lightyear is a he, him lesbian. I'm loving this like super, super in-depth, basically from Toy Story 1 through 5, saying that Buzz and Jessie is actually their top ship and their ship name could be Bussy. Honestly, we might have to do Toy Story 2 through 5 just to talk about this theory, but thank you so much, Jaden, for sharing. We love it when you all get super, super deep into the shit up and gaze and love to hear all of your thoughts. So thank you for sharing.
As always, we want to thank our Lesbian Jesus patrons, Mark Foster,
Lizette Stye,
Adi Benitez,
Sophia Phillips,
and Armani Gucci.
And our King Princess patrons, Amy and Ellen.
And Andrea Doucette. Thank you all so much. We absolutely could not keep making this show without your support and the support of all of our patrons.
Remember, you can also find us on all the social medias, Instagram, Facebook, Blue Sky, and TikTok at Lez Hang Out Pod.
You can email us at lezhangoutpod@gmail.com.
Or check out our website at lezhangoutpod.com.
Whatever app you use to listen to podcasts, make sure that you subscribe. That way you'll get new episodes as soon as they go up every week.
We're also posting videos on our YouTube channel, so make sure you subscribe at youtube.com/lezhangoutpod to catch them.
Lez Hang Out is an independently produced show. It's hosted by us. Our audio production is done by Ellie. Our production assistant is Krista Mirison. And other podcasting shenanigans are done by me.
If you want to support the podcast, the best way to do that is to rate and review us on wherever you listen to podcasts. It helps other people find the show.
If you want to support us financially, again, it is one of the absolute best things you can do to help keep the show alive. You get access to our bonus Lez Trick regular episodes. You get access to our Discord chat. You can join that at bit.ly/lezpatreon.
If you want to get some Lez Hang Out merch, it is Pride Month. You better get on it. bit.ly/Lez merch. Get your gay merch. Send pictures of us. We want to see you wearing your Lez Hang Out merch at Pride.
Remember, we also have a queer production company making queer podcast musicals with guaranteed happy endings. You can find us everywhere at Dollar Bean Prod.
You can listen to our first 2 shows, The Flame and Journey to the Heart, on any podcasting app.
And if you want to help support us in making more musicals, you can join our Patreon at bit.ly/dollarbeanpatreon.
If you want to follow us individually, you can find me at Ellie Brigida on Instagram and TikTok.
You can find me on Instagram, TikTok, and Blue Sky at LSH Foster.
With that, I'm Ellie.
And I'm Lee.
And let's hang out again soon.
Let's hang out.
Are you one of those media strategy people clicking through slides, scrolling spreadsheets? Yes? Good. This is for you. Because on Spotify, there's an audience that's different, locked in, loyal, invested. They're called fans. Fans don't just listen to music, they feel seen by it, like it belongs to them. So when your brand shows up on Spotify, that's who you're talking to. And you're right next to artists like me, Lizzo. So, are you ready to talk to fans? Spotify advertising. You're among fans.